seen or which are going to be seen, I will just project some of the case studies mostly pertaining to Indian coast. So that will give you an idea about all these structures and their application and their effects. Now revetments, we have seen already the sea walls. Now what are revetments? Revetment are mainly to improve the stability of slopes, okay. So these revetments mostly it is constructed along the banks, okay, and even sometimes it is also referred to as revetments even if it is constructed along the coast, provided it is occasionally exposed to the wave action, okay, maybe during a storm, okay, extreme event when it is exposed, then those type of structures are also sometimes referred to as revetments, but mostly the revetments are for protecting the slopes, that is in which case it is mostly preferred along the river banks. So the very commonly used revetment is the riprap revetment, like you have the conventional sea wall wherein we use the rubble mound stones, you know, so just dumping. So we dump stones, that is also usually it used to be called as revetment. See any kind of structure which is used to protect the slope from further damage is called as a revetment. So usually what will happen if you have a bank getting eroded, so if it is getting eroded like this, how do you protect? As an immediate measure, what they do is they dump gunny bags, or it is gunny bags in the sense sandbags, bags filled with sand they keep dumping, so that it will withstand some extent, it will protect, it is only a temporary protection measure. Slightly better than sandbags is just put stones instead of sandbags, or they have sandbags over which they can also put the stones. Always you remember that when you want to protect a slope, you have some kind of a filter layer and over which you have the stones, okay. Now these days we have what is called as the geosynthetic material, that is the geotextile, over which the filter layer is placed, over this the filter layer, this is the geotextiles. So you have the geotextiles over which you can have the filter layer and over which you can have the stones put. So this is the general way of protecting the adopting the revetment for protecting your banks. So this is a typical construction, the cross section of a revetment taken from the coastal engineering manual, the old shore protection manual. Coastal engineering manual was referred to as earlier shore protection manual, okay. Prior to that it was referred to as TR4. All these things are from US Army Corps of Engineers. So this this volume this contains a volume of information on coastal protection. After attending this lecture, the best way of educating yourself is to refer to this coastal engineering manual, okay. Or there are some other textbooks and manuals, you have what is meant by rock manual, that also you can be referred. So all these references will be given at the end of the lecture. So here you see that as I said, as I was explaining here with the board, on the board, see this is the area which is going to be protected. So you have a small blanket or a filter layer over which you have the armor unit. On the top concrete is you have a concrete cap so that it is intact, and then you have you are supposed to have some amount of toe protection here. So this is a typical cross section of a revetment. So some of the problems here would be, suppose if you do not properly take care of this, then during monsoons what can happen is, if this is not properly filled, some kind of a filter layer with stones with by applying geotextile. So if you do not have anything like this, some geotextile with a protection of a filter layer and small quarry run stones here, what can happen is, what would happen particularly during the monsoon, as I said earlier, the water can get drained here, and then this will become very loose and the entire structure can collapse. There are several instances along our course as this kind of a leading to such kind of a failure, particularly along the Kerala coast. We have noticed a number of structures, and this was during the tsunami. During the tsunami, most of the seawall sections have failed along the Kerala coast, have failed because of this kind of a phenomena, because during the tsunami there was a severe ingress of the water, and then the down rush back to the ocean, that is much more with it comes back with tremendous speed. Okay. So what will happen is the percolation of this tsunami water has resulted in failure of the revetments as well as the sea walls, mostly sea walls. What I have the phenomenon is almost same whether it is a sea wall and or a revetment. So the same thing can happen if you have a flooding in the river. So you can have the overtopping, and then you can have the removal of a stone from the land site. So this has to be kept in mind. So every time dumping of stones again is an eyesore. So instead of dumping stones, quarry run stones, they have come up with interlocking concrete blocks, as you can see in this. So it has a male and female joint, so that it will get itself glued to each other, and then it will act as a monolithic unit. So but only thing is, you have to be careful when in providing a strong toe protection. There is although there is there are some advantages, like aesthetic point of view it is very good, where you do not have much of projections as in the case of rubble mound, and it has a nice finish, and it gives a good look. And but there is one problem, suppose in case it yields somewhere here, the entire unit can also come down, because it can act as a monolithic unit. So but the adjoining layers also are going to be glued to each other, but this is also possible. Okay. So you have to be careful when you are using this, but it has advantages. Mostly the advantages are really and also the material you are using for the blocks. If the strength of the material which the strength of the slabs which you are casting is not satisfactory, then there can be a lot of problems, and this is one common problem which we have with the precast slabs of this nature. Okay. This is yet another type of armor unit. Again, all this both this type of blocks have come from the US Army Corps of Engineers. So it is all available in the book. So you just see what is happening here. So you see the existing section shown in dotted. So you just try to fill first if there is an erosion with some kind of a material, and then get a smooth finish, and then place the blocks together. Now in this area only, the geotextiles have found a wide application, because geotextile membranes are used, mostly has been adopted for highways. Now it is very widely used for protecting banks, as well as in the case of sea walls, etc. Is that okay? So these are typical durable and environmental friendly coastal, erosion protection problems, protection systems for berms, slopes, river banks, as well as for shoreline. The top one is shown for a shoreline. So we have a variety of choices, but then you have to be careful in choosing, and then you have a cost benefit aspect which you need to do. And some of these things also require skilled labours, whether, see for example, placing rubble stones, you may not require skilled labor, but using this you need some kind of special machinery, special skill labor, etc. So all these things have to be going into when you are trying to plan for your structures. Is that clear? So there are other types. This is a science lab which has been introduced in Malaysia, and it was done by one institute in under the University of Technology Malaysia, where they have used what is called as a science lab. So it is something like this, it goes and glues to another, and this is how the rivetment can be formed. So you see that there is a filter layer, and this acts as a berm, acts as a armor layer. Now you look at this, although it gives a nice aesthetic point, from aesthetic point of view, not only it gives from aesthetic point, not only it is good, but also you look at this projections, all these kind of projections. When you have lot of projections, it is going to offer lot of friction. When you have more friction, the energy is getting dissipated, that is the advantage, okay. And added to this, if you have some kind of plantations along with this kind of slope, this could become a very good protection measures, but then you need to look at the cost implication and also the importance of the project. Now for example, you also please note that there is a toe protection here. Always have in mind that whenever you are talking about an construction of any obstruction in flowing water or along the coast, be it inside a river or along the banks or along the coast or inside the offshore, you need to have a protection of the toe of the structure. If you do not do that, you are asking in for trouble. So this is a typical photograph which shows that see, look, this is somewhere in Cape Town in South Africa, wherein this is a railway line, and you see that they wanted to change this railway line. I mean the sleepers were not in good condition, and they wanted to get away with the sleepers, and they want to renovate all the sleepers of this railway track. What they did, instead of dumping it somewhere, they have just used this along this protection measure. Now this is acting as a buffer, and it does not create any problem, and it is acting as a protection measure, okay. So sometimes such a situation can arise, wherein you try to use this material which is not needed for protection measure, but I will show you later as an example where such a situation took place, wherein we have used, we did not want the concrete pipes, we removed the concrete pipes, and it has been used as a protection measure, just because to protection measure for preventing erosion along our Chennai coast. So there you see that although the effort was to try to use the material instead of taking away from that place, because the mobilization cost and demobilization cost is going to be quite high. So when they used it, they found that they had an adverse effect. Here you have a positive effect, but there you will see that there is an adverse effect. So at that point of time I will also refer to this Cape Town sleepers, okay. So that there I have just told something about revetment. There are some other informations for other particular, I mean details for on revetments or any other structure. You should again refer to some other references. Now this picture was has been presented by Toyoshima in 86. We have seen the sea dikes, jetty sea walls, etc. All these things are groin field, etc. See, look at any of these structures which has been adopted as a coastal protection measure, the rate of increase is something like this. That is the number of projects which has adopted a particular type of measure, I mean protection measure. you see that there is not much of a difference here, and the rate is also almost constant after some time, that is after 75 you see the almost a constant, and even the rate of increase is also quite gradual from 1960. But there is one difference. You look at this offshore detached breakwater, the rate of increase in projects that are being implemented with offshore detached breakwaters as a coastal protection measure has drastically increased, and because it has its own advantages, but there are some small disadvantages also. So this is the rate of increase, particularly in Japan and also in other developed countries, where European countries or the Americas or Europe. So you have a number of projects which are number of protection, coasts with protection measures as offshore detached breakwaters. So let us see what is offshore detached breakwaters. So this is you have a picture down below. So general, it is used as a shore protection measure. The structure is parallel to the shore. The structure is parallel to the shoreline. Again, similar to groin field, it is preferred at locations where not preferred, it should be adopted at locations where you have longshore sediment transport, and which is quite significant. This is as I said earlier, increasingly adopted compared to other protection measures, particularly in Japan. Again, here again you can have exposed or submerged. Remember, I have already told you when we spoke about the groin can be like this, or it can be completely submerged also, depending on the quantity of suspended sediments and bedload sediments. Okay. So here again you have exposed. When you have exposed, or even you can also call it as partially exposed, because it will be exposed only during low tide. During high tide it can be submerged, or it can be continuously be exposed. That means even during low tide, even during high tide it will be seen. So all kinds of possibilities are there. But there is one disadvantage here, not disadvantage, what I would try to say is, okay, I will try to come back to this later, trying to give some kind of a comparison between groins and offshore breakwaters. When you have a single breakwater, detached breakwater, we have already seen during the introduction that under the phenomena of diffraction, we have seen that the wave climate in between the shoreline and the breakwater is going to be very calm compared to the adjoining areas, and hence you have the sand coming from higher energy to lower energy, that is on the lee side of the breakwater you will start getting the buildup of the beach, and this formation of the beach is called as the salient. So as this propagates, so it is still not in contact with the breakwater. So in such a case this formation is called as a salient. The moment in due course, when this formation reaches the breakwater, then the formation is called as Tombolo. So once you have Tombolo, it is a beautiful place where you can because there are some locations where this has been very effectively being used as a playground. It can be used even as a playground. Okay. But one thing you should be very careful in determining the distance between the shoreline and the breakwater, the length of the breakwater, the gap between the breakwater. All these things are going to depend on the geomorphology of the coast, the wave climate like the wave height, wave period, as well as the direction. So all these things and there are host of other parameters which are included, which need to be considered. So when you try to plan for such a measure, it is usually done with the help of numerical modeling, followed by or just with numerical modeling or with experimental physical models. So based on this you can determine the parameters that are needed for the planning and design and construction of offshore detached breakwater. So effects of exposed offshore breakwaters. So this I have already explained about Tombolo and salient. Shoreline changes I have already explained. Now also the breakwater and segmented breakwaters also I have explained. So now this is what you see in the typical example in the Baltic Sea. This is again quite an old photograph, but this photograph is used only to just show you how the shoreline can change. So you see that there is a offshore breakwater here, there is an offshore breakwater, here is the gap, and you see the salient being formed. Okay. Now the situation I do not know, this was taken, it is quite an old picture. So again you have to be careful in rehabilitating the offshore breakwater. Now these days instead of rubble mound you can also think of having geotubes, and you can have long geotubes separated by distance to replace those offshore detached breakwaters, and that can serve as a good protection measure. Physically it will the physical phenomena is going to be the same, whether because it is just the obstruction, maybe the only difference is the porosity, okay, but the phenomena of diffraction will take place, which is going to be the most important phenomena, wherein through which you get the accumulation or the advancement of the shoreline as your salient or later followed as your Tombolo. Is that clear? Swapnadeep, clear? So yet another view of the same thing. So you see the salient, the breakwater and the gap. So this is somewhere in Tokyo, an aerial view taken from some of the conference announcement I guess. So just to show for the students how Tombolo formation can look like. So it looks quite pleasing with a nice it looks like a small base, okay. So you see that this can be a small bay, this can be another bay, so this can be acting as something like a swimming pool, so you can have a relaxing beach, etc. So these are some of the advantages of having this breakwater, offshore detached breakwaters. So this picture shows along the Danish coast how the offshore detached breakwater has helped in the beach build up, as this is taken from the satellite imagery. So you see that 1993 you see what is the status of the coast, and then 1999 look at the status of so you have the slow building up of the beach, the transport of sand, trapping of the sand behind the breakwater, and then once it is trapped then you have the building up of the beach. So then you see that you have nice beach here. So if you want to enhance, probably you can think of having one more small breakwater here, and that will result in the deposition of sand at the advancement of the shoreline here. So you can have something like this, you understood. So you can enhance one more small two bays in within one bay, okay. So this is somewhere in Italian coast, along the Italian coast. Now you see that initially these offshore detached breakwaters were done, and now you have the advancement, the Tombolo formed. Now since if you think that this bay is quite wide and you want to reduce the width of the bay, then you can still have a small structures parallel to the coast, and then that will trap the sediment. So you will have the reduction in the bay size, you understood. So this is the advantage of the offshore detached breakwaters. Okay. So, yet another view of offshore detached breakwater, wherein this is protecting the building just adjoining the beach, adjoining the shoreline. So, this gives us a feeling for the advancement of the shoreline due to offshore detached. Sometimes combination of segmented breakwaters and groins are adopted. This is of course a bit expensive, but this is also being used. For example, you have something like this. So, you have the offshore detached breakwater here with a gap here, and then you have the groins here. So, this will enhance the beach formation. Now, by having offshore detached breakwater, there is another advantage, because when the waves are coming towards the coast, the presence of the breakwater, offshore breakwater, reduces the incoming incident wave energy. So, this is one way, this is one of the method which is being used for protecting the power plants along the coast. When you have power plants along the coast, it is very important to make sure that the waves, the water from the ocean does not come into the building, particularly during a coastal hazard like a tsunami. So, one of the way is to construct offshore walls, it is called as offshore walls, something like a breakwater, which will reduce the incident energy both in magnitude and its speed. So, this is again somewhere in Italy, somewhere near Naples, I guess. So, wherein so you have a sea wall, but in order to make sure that the sea wall is intact, you have offshore detached breakwaters also constructed there. Okay. So, sometimes you are going in for a structure to protect another structure. This is also this may also be the case. So, this is a submerged structure, wherein when you have a submerged structure, I am going to talk about it again after some time. Because of the submerged structure, what does a submerged structure do? Swapnadeep, what happens when you have a submerged structure?
So it will prevent bottom score.
No. I have a beach, I have a seabed, and now you have the breaking, and then you have the upthrust. Okay. Now I am putting a submerged structure here. Submerged structure, this I am putting it as a this is an artificial structure, but there can be natural reefs, submerged reefs. What will happen in this case? So, instead of breaking here, it will break here. What will happen if it breaks here? Energy is dissipated, then what happens? If energy dissipates, what happens to sediments? Sediment will deposit where? Will it deposit somewhere here or here? It will be depositing here, because here is the location where the waves are attenuated, the energy is dissipated, so the energy is less here, so you can have the sand being deposited here. So, submerged structures or reefs enhance premature breaking. Okay. So, this is a concept which has been widely adopted in certain locations where now when I am talking about geosynthetic, that is where again here instead of this artificial structure, you can have geotubes to which will act as a structure. So, we have seen so far all the hard structures. What are called as hard structures? What are hard structures? Hard structures are like constructed on sea walls, groins, offshore detached breakwaters using large boulders. Okay. The same kind of structure, if you are using it with by applying geosynthetic materials like geotubes, etc., then we do not refer it as hard structures, we can call it as soft structure. And apart from this, what are the other soft structures? If for example plantation can also be termed as soft structure, it can be these are also termed as bioshields. What is the other kind of soft structure, soft solution? Wherever you have erosion, wherever you have deposition, remove the sand and nourish it to the beach where it is getting eroded. So far we did some exercise about, we try to understand what are all the hardware structures. Now we will just look at some of the soft structures that are available. See, mangroves, vegetation, the role of vegetation for coastal protection has gained enormous attention, particularly after the 2004 tsunami, because there are a number of evidences where they have seen that wherever you had plantation in front of structures, these structures survived, or at least the damage was quite less compared to locations where it was directly exposed to the tsunami. And there are a lot of research work going on how to understand, although we know that it can serve as soldiers against that kind of coastal hazard, but then we need to understand the physics behind it, how the energy is getting dissipated. So to understand this only, there are a lot of people who are working in this area. So mangroves are essentially root system of trees and shrubs which thrive in shallows of saltwater areas. So look at the kind of roots, all these kinds of roots, these kind of roots will be acting as a permeable medium. Okay, when the water is going through it, the energy gets dissipated, it is very simple. Okay, they provide an excellent safe habitat for small creatures, that is an added advantage. Then by reducing the current speed and trapping the sediments, the tangled roots and trunks of the mangroves help reduce siltation. So, but only disadvantage, not disadvantage, you should remember that mangroves can really flourish at locations where there is exchange of sea and fresh water. You cannot have mangroves all along the coast, it will not thrive. Okay. Another pitiable thing is many people, the coastal guys, they try to cut this mangroves for firewood also, which should be banned. So here roots act as armor for the stem and reduces as cover. This picture is taken from Shrek 2001. He has brought out a nice book wherein he has given the slope angle beta for different slopes, how the minimum factor of safety. So this minimum factor of safety, this is vegetation effect without the vegetation. So you look at with vegetation and without vegetation, that with vegetation it is higher. Okay. So you look at this, one is that the blue color is the unsaturated and the red color is the saturated. So if you look at this, so you see that this is with vegetation and this is without vegetation. So with vegetation the safety is much higher. Now the typical cross section of a coast with the mangroves, this is how it should look, but seldom it looks like this good beach. For example, where you have mangroves, mangrove forests are natural protection, and where they are removed for whatever reason it may be, erosion is the price that is paid for. So this is a statement given in one of the books, I think it must be Shrek, and then since I like this sentence, I have just placed it here. So this is very, very important that we take care of the mangrove forests. When you look at this picture, this animation clearly shows what happens when you have a flat beach and a straight beach, I mean a steep beach. So flat beach is vulnerable for damage. If you have a coastal hazard like the tsunami, it will simply move, and then you see that if you have a thick I mean high density plantations, that can definitely reduce the speed with which the water is moving, otherwise even the plantations may not be of any help. So it is the flat beach where you should be very careful in dealing with the coastal, I mean in regard to the preparedness for coastal hazards. Then coming back, one thing I forgot to tell you, that is when you look at the offshore breakwaters, you have the offshore breakwaters here, okay. So you see that you have the bay, okay, but if you have the groin field, here again you have the beach, here again you have the beach. Suppose if you want to use this as a bay, here what we do is we can use this as the location for the beaches, okay, for fishermen if they want to park the vehicles, I mean the boats. Here this area can be parked, this is the area along which the boats can be parked, and here it will be like this. Tomorrow if you want, you can very easily, it is not so difficult for in this case to extend one of the arm if the predominant direction is in this way and convert this as a small harbor itself. For example, you can have, you should be having one more a number of groins, no? So instead of adding only considering only 2 or 3 groins, you can add 4 groins and develop this as a major harbor also, major fishing, big fishing harbor if you want to. So that may be limited in this case, and another problem here is the construction of offshore breakwaters is not so easy compared to construction of the groins, because in the construction of groins the material you may need, the kind of machines you need, it is only a kind of it is based on the end-on method. So you have an approach road wherein the truck with the stones can keep on moving over the slope, whereas this it is entirely based in the offshore, and the construction has to be very close to the breaker zone. And anyway, when I talk about the construction of groins, I will slightly elaborate about the details, how it has been, how they are done, etc. Okay. So I think I will stop here.